Right, this is a summary of the article talking about humanizing the online classroom. So the article starts off with talking about knowledge economy and this shift to the conceptual age. And so knowledge economy is basically holds an emphasis on the ability to manipulate and use knowledge. And there's this movement towards this conceptual age where we want to not only be able to develop, but enhance our understanding and perspective in relationship to information. So this helps build our information literacy, which allows us to recognize a need for information. And then once we discover that need, we're able to locate, evaluate, and effectively use the needed information. It then goes on to talk about online learning environments, and it kind of built this dichotomy between andragogy versus pedagogy. And andragogy can be defined as having a balanced responsibilities of life and learning, which compares against pedagogy, which is having a higher devotion to the demands of learning. Andragogy is more focused on self-directed learning, while pedagogy has a fact-based lecture that is led by the teacher. Andragogy focuses on connecting learning to our background knowledge, whereas pedagogy has learners being shown how their life experiences connect to their learning. Andragogy has goal-oriented learners with known purpose, so they know what the purpose is for their learning, while pedagogy are learners that take a course simply based on necessity. And andragogy has self-initiated learning, which tends to last longer, versus pedagogy, which is more focused on compulsory learning, which of course will end sooner. It goes on to breaking down the types of online students, breaking down a traditional student, which is typically young, they're full-time students, and they participate in class, with an adjunct and mixed online learning through course management systems. And of course, there are multiple options for what CMS is used, varying from one school to the next or one course to the next, based, of course, on the teacher's preference. Whereas the non-traditional student is more place-bound. They're part-time, usually mature. If they are young, then they can be place-bound as well. And these courses are typically fully taken online through a CMS as well. And the functions and responsibilities of online learning. This is focused on self-regulation, right? If you are taking a course online, it is fully on the responsibility of the student to make sure that they're keeping up to pace, that they're understanding, and then if there is any misunderstandings, the teacher is not present, so they won't know unless, of course, the student can advocate for themselves and reach out to the teacher. Another one is societal communications, and the article focuses on Vygotsky's social development theory, which talks about developing learning through communicating on an individual, group, and community level, and it also talks about the zone of proximal development, which also in an online learning setting, this is very important in order to be successful. It also talks about this three-dimensional learning environment, which is, there's a quote about the human's motivation towards self-actualization. And so this was first based on Maslow, but then there was a shift from Crawford as we incorporated the bottom two levels. We changed it into technological, computer, and digital literacy needs, moving into 3D virtual world protocols, which includes avatar creation and manipulation movement. So we see this shift to a more modern version of this online learning environment. And of course, this is all moving towards that self-actualization, which is also the top level for Maslow's original hierarchy. And lastly, the humanizing the online learning environment. It just talks about how we can make this online learning environment a more inviting and innovative and productive and progressive form of education. And so in order to humanize, we need to include these three characteristics of having social equity, which focuses on communication and being able to create meaning between learners through that form of communication. Also, social justice. Just like any learning environment, it's important to have a fair and equitable treatment of all learners that are participating. And acknowledging social change. And so this includes any change in nature of societal, community, or social structures, or acknowledging events or actions that affects a specific group of people that share a common trait. And of course, acknowledging acts of advocacy for change. And so by focusing and acknowledging and incorporating these three traits, we are able to humanize this online learning environment. And that's about it for this article here.